Introduction to memory training. Memory training involves a systematic approach to improving one's ability to encode, store, and retrieve information. It's not about being born with a good memory, but rather about developing and practicing specific techniques that optimize brain function for recall. This discipline combines cognitive science with practical exercises, empowering individuals to overcome common memory challenges. Understanding the fundamentals of how memory works is the first step towards unlocking its full potential. This course will guide you through various methods to sharpen your mind and make information stick. The benefits of enhanced memory extend far beyond academic or professional success. They impact daily life significantly. Improved memory can lead to better decision-making, increased confidence, and a greater capacity for learning new skills. It helps in remembering names, faces, dates, facts, and complex concepts with greater ease. Ultimately, memory training fosters a more agile and efficient mind, contributing to overall well-being and cognitive longevity. Why memory matters? Memory is fundamental to almost every aspect of human existence, serving as the bedrock of our identity, learning, and interaction with the world. It allows us to recall past experiences, recognize familiar faces, learn new skills, and understand complex concepts. Without a functioning memory, even the simplest daily tasks become insurmountable challenges. It enables continuity in our thoughts and actions, connecting our past to our present and future aspirations. Therefore, cultivating a strong memory is not merely a convenience, but a necessity for a rich and productive life. In academic settings, a robust memory is crucial for absorbing new information, preparing for exams, and building upon prior knowledge. Professionals rely on memory to recall client details, project specifications, and strategic plans, directly impacting their effectiveness and career progression. Beyond these structured environments, memory plays a vital role in personal relationships, allowing us to remember shared moments, birthdays, and important conversations. It enriches our social fabric and emotional connections, making life more meaningful and interconnected. Types of memory. Memory is not a single monolithic entity, but rather a complex system comprising several distinct types, each with unique characteristics and functions. Broadly, memory can be categorized by its duration into sensory, short-term, and long-term memory. Sensory memory holds information for a fleeting moment, just long enough for it to be processed. Short-term memory, also known as working memory, temporarily stores and manipulates information for immediate tasks, typically lasting only seconds to a minute without rehearsal. Long-term memory, in contrast, has a vast capacity and can retain information for extended periods, from minutes to a lifetime. Long-term memory is further divided into explicit, declarative, and implicit, non-declarative memory. Explicit memory deals with facts and events that can be consciously recalled, such as remembering a historical date or a personal experience. This category includes episodic memory, personal experiences, and semantic memory, facts and general knowledge. Implicit memory, on the other hand, involves unconscious forms of memory, like procedural memory, skills and habits, e.g., riding a bike, and priming, exposure to one stimulus influencing a response to a subsequent stimulus. Understanding these distinctions is vital for targeting specific memory improvement strategies. How memory works. Encoding. Encoding is the initial process by which information is transformed into a format that can be stored in memory. This crucial first step involves converting sensory input into a construct that the brain can understand and retain. Effective encoding is paramount for successful recall, as poorly encoded information is difficult, if not impossible, to retrieve later. The brain uses various forms of encoding, including visual, images, acoustic, sounds, and semantic, meaning. The depth of processing during encoding significantly impacts the strength and durability of the memory trace. Several factors influence the effectiveness of encoding. Attention plays a critical role. Information that is not attended to will likely not be encoded. Elaboration, which involves connecting new information to existing knowledge, creates richer and more interconnected memory traces. Organization, such as grouping related items, also aids in coding by making information more structured and easier to process. Furthermore, the emotional significance of an event can dramatically enhance its encoding, leading to vivid and lasting memories. Engaging multiple senses during encoding can also strengthen the memory. How memory works. Storage. Memory storage refers to the process of maintaining encoded information in the brain over time. Once information has been successfully encoded, it needs to be stored in a way that allows for later retrieval. The brain doesn't store memories in a single location. Instead, different types of memories are distributed across various neural networks and brain regions. This distributed storage makes memory robust, as damage to one area doesn't necessarily erase all related memories. The strength of a memory trace, often determined by the depth of encoding, influences how well and how long it is stored. The process of consolidation is critical for stabilizing memory traces, transforming fragile short-term memories into more durable long-term memories. This often occurs during sleep, where the brain actively replays and reorganizes neural activity associated with recent learning. Synaptic plasticity, the ability of synapses to strengthen or weaken over time, is the underlying biological mechanism for memory storage and consolidation. Repeated activation of neural pathways strengthens connections, making memories more accessible. Conversely, lack of use can lead to the weakening of these connections, resulting in forgetting. How memory works. Retrieval. Memory retrieval is the process of accessing and bringing stored information back into conscious awareness. It's the act of remembering, allowing us to utilize the knowledge and experiences we've encoded and stored. Retrieval is not always perfect. Sometimes memories can be distorted, incomplete, or even inaccessible. The effectiveness of retrieval often depends on the quality of encoding and storage, as well as the presence of appropriate retrieval cues. These cues act as mental triggers that help us locate and activate specific memory traces. There are several types of retrieval, including recall, recognition, and relearning. Recall involves retrieving information without cues, such as answering an open-ended question. Recognition, on the other hand, involves identifying previously learned information when presented with options, like in a multiple-choice test. Relearning measures how much faster information is learned when it's encountered again, indicating some residual memory. The context in which information was encoded can also serve as a powerful retrieval cue. Remembering something better when you are in the same environment where you learned it is known as context-dependent memory. Memory and the brain. The brain is the central organ for memory, with various regions playing specialized roles in encoding, storage, and retrieval. The hippocampus, a small seahorse-shaped structure located deep within the temporal lobe, is crucial for forming new long-term explicit memories. Damage to the hippocampus can severely impair the ability to create new memories, a condition known as anterograde amnesia. However, it does not typically affect existing long-term memories or implicit memories, highlighting the distributed nature of memory functions. Other key brain structures involved in memory include the amygdala, which plays a significant role in emotional memories, often making emotionally charged events more vivid and memorable. The prefrontal cortex is involved in working memory and executive functions, helping us to manage and manipulate information in the short term. The cerebellum is primarily associated with procedural memory, coordinating motor skills and habits. Understanding these neural correlates provides a deeper insight into how memory operates and how different types of memory are processed and stored throughout the brain. Factors affecting memory. Numerous factors can significantly influence memory performance, both positively and negatively. Lifestyle choices play a substantial role. Adequate sleep is crucial for memory consolidation. while chronic stress can impair cognitive functions, including memory. Nutrition also impacts brain health, with certain vitamins and antioxidants supporting memory function. Physical exercise enhances blood flow to the brain, promoting neurogenesis and improving overall cognitive vitality. These daily habits form the foundation for a healthy and efficient memory system. Beyond lifestyle, psychological and environmental factors also affect memory. Emotional states, such as anxiety or depression, can interfere with attention and encoding, making it harder to form new memories. The context in which information is learned and retrieved can either aid or hinder recall, as discussed with context-dependent memory. Age is another factor, with some aspects of memory naturally declining as we get older. Though this can often be mitigated through continuous mental stimulation and healthy living. Understanding these influences allows for targeted interventions to optimize memory. Basic memory principles. Several fundamental principles underpin effective memory training, serving as the building blocks for more advanced techniques. The principle of attention is paramount. You cannot remember what you do not pay attention to. Active engagement with information, rather than passive reception, significantly enhances encoding. Another key principle is association, when new information is linked to existing knowledge or other new pieces of information, creating a network of interconnected memories. The more connections you make, the easier it is to retrieve the information. Visualization is another powerful principle, as the human brain is exceptionally good at remembering images. Transforming abstract concepts into vivid mental pictures makes them more memorable. Repetition, particularly spaced repetition, is essential for solidifying memories and moving them from short-term to long-term storage. Finally, organization helps structure information logically, making it easier to categorize and retrieve. By understanding and applying these basic principles, individuals can lay a strong foundation for developing a powerful and reliable memory. Attention and focus. Attention is the gateway to memory. Without it, information cannot be effectively encoded and subsequently remembered. In today's fast-paced world, distractions are abundant, making sustained focus a valuable skill. Training your attention involves consciously directing your mental resources to specific information or tasks, filtering out irrelevant stimuli. This active process is not passive reception, but an intentional effort to engage with the material at hand. Improving attention is the foundational step for any memory enhancement strategy, as it directly impacts the quality of initial learning. Techniques for enhancing attention and focus include mindfulness practices, which train the mind to stay present and observe thoughts without judgment. Eliminating distractions, such as turning off notifications or finding a quiet study environment, is also crucial. Breaking down large tasks into smaller, manageable chunks can help maintain focus by providing a sense of accomplishment and reducing overwhelm. Regular practice of concentration exercises, like focusing on a single object or sound for a set period, can gradually strengthen your attentional muscles. Consistent effort in these areas will significantly improve your ability to encode information effectively. Visualization techniques. Visualization is a powerful memory technique that leverages the brain's natural ability to remember images more effectively than abstract words or concepts. By transforming information into vivid, detailed mental pictures, you create stronger and more accessible memory traces. The key is to make these images as sensory-rich as possible, involving not just sight, but also sounds, smells, tastes, and textures. The more bizarre, exaggerated, or humorous your mental images are, the more memorable they tend to become. This technique is particularly effective for remembering lists, sequences, and abstract data. To practice visualization, start by taking a piece of information you want to remember, such as a vocabulary word or a historical fact. Then, create a mental image that represents this information. For example, to remember the word gregarious, you might imagine a giant, green, friendly dragon, gregarious, laughing loudly at a party. Ensure your images are dynamic and interactive, not static. Regularly practicing this mental imagery will strengthen your ability to convert information into memorable visual cues, significantly boosting your recall capacity for various types of data. Association techniques. Association is a cornerstone of memory enhancement, relying on the principle that the brain remembers new information more easily when it's linked to something already known or to other new pieces of information. By creating mental connections, you build a network of related ideas, making it easier to retrieve any one piece of information by following the links. The stronger and more unique the association, the more effective it will be. This technique is highly versatile and can be applied to almost any type of information, from names and faces to complex concepts. To effectively use association, actively look for connections between items. This could involve finding similarities, differences, or creating a narrative that links them. For instance, if you need to remember a new person named Mr. Baker, you might associate him with a baker baking bread, especially if he has a round face or a white shirt. The key is to make the association personal and meaningful to you. Practice forming these mental links consciously, and over time, it will become a natural and automatic process, significantly boosting your ability to remember diverse information. The link method. The link method is a simple yet effective mnemonic technique used for remembering lists of items in order. It involves creating a vivid, imaginative, and often bizarre mental image that links the first item on your list to the second, and the second to the third, and so on, forming a chain. Each image should interact with the next in a memorable way. The more outrageous and sensory-rich your mental links are, the easier they will be to recall. This method is particularly useful for short to medium-length lists where the order is important. To apply the link method, take your first two items and imagine them interacting in a memorable scene. For example, if your list starts with apple and book, you might imagine a giant apple reading a book with tiny glasses. Then, link book to the third item, say car, by imagining the book driving a car. Continue this process until all items are linked. When you want to recall the list, simply mentally walk through your chain of images. Practice creating these links quickly and creatively to master this technique for sequential recall. The story method. The story method, also known as the narrative chain, is a mnemonic technique similar to the link method, but involves weaving a list of items into a coherent, engaging, and often fantastical story. Instead of just linking two items, you create a narrative that incorporates all the items in sequence. The more dramatic, humorous, or illogical the story, the more memorable it becomes. This method leverages the brain's natural affinity for stories, making it easier to recall a sequence of information by remembering the plot. To use the story method, take your list of items and begin constructing a story where each item appears in order. For example, if your list includes dog, bicycle, cloud, pizza, your story might start, "A fluffy dog decided to ride a bicycle. As he pedaled, he rode so fast he went up into a cloud where he found a giant pizza floating." Continue adding each item to your unfolding narrative. When recalling the list, simply retell the story in your mind. This technique is excellent for remembering lists where the order is important and you want to engage your creative faculties. The peg system. The peg system is a mnemonic technique that uses a pre-memorized list of peg words to associate with items you want to remember. Each peg word is typically associated with a number, often through rhyming or visual similarity. For example, 1 is bun, 2 is shoe, 3 is tree, and so on. Once you have your peg list firmly in mind, you can hang new information onto these pegs by creating vivid mental images that link the peg word with the item you need to remember. This system is excellent for remembering ordered lists and ensuring you can recall items out of sequence if needed. To use the peg system, first, memorize your peg list, e.g., 1 bun, 2 shoe, 3 tree, 4 door, 5 hive, 6 sticks, 7 heaven, 8 gate, 9 vine, 10 hen. If your first item is milk, imagine a giant bun filled with milk. If your second item is bread, imagine a shoe made of bread. Continue this process for each item on your list. When you want to recall the items, simply go through your peg words, and the associated image will trigger the memory of the item. This method provides a structured framework for organizing and retrieving information, making it highly effective for various memory tasks. Major system for numbers. The major system is an advanced phonetic mnemonic technique used to remember long sequences of numbers, such as phone numbers, dates, or historical facts. It works by converting digits into consonant sounds, which are then used to form words. These words can then be visualized and linked into a story or with other mnemonic techniques. The system assigns a specific consonant sound to each digit from 0 to 9, allowing any number to be transformed into a memorable word or phrase. This method is incredibly powerful for making abstract numbers concrete and visual. The core of the major system is its phonetic alphabet. 0 equals S, S, 1, T, D, 2, N, 3, M, 4, R, 5, L, 6, J, Sh, Sh, 7, K, G, 8, F, V, 9, P, B. Vowels and the letters W, H, Y are ignored. To remember a number like 32, you convert it to MN, which could form words like man or moon. For 71, KT could be cat or kite. Once you have these words, you can create vivid images or stories. For example, to remember 3271, you might imagine a man riding a cat. Mastering these conversions takes practice, but opens up a new world of numerical memory capabilities. Method of loci, memory palace. The method of loci, also known as the memory palace, is an ancient and highly effective mnemonic technique that involves associating items you want to remember with specific locations along a familiar mental journey. You mentally place each item in a distinct spot within a well-known building, route, or even a fictional space. When you need to recall the information, you simply take a mental walk through your memory palace, retrieving the items as you encounter their associated locations. This method leverages our innate spatial memory, which is incredibly robust. To create a memory palace, first choose a familiar place, such as your home, school, or a daily commute route. Then, identify distinct loci or locations within that place in a specific order, e.g., front door, hallway, kitchen, living room. Next, take the information you want to remember and create a vivid, often bizarre, mental image for each item, placing it at a specific locus. For example, if you need to remember milk at your front door, imagine a giant carton of milk blocking the entrance. When you mentally revisit the front door, the image of the milk will trigger the memory. This technique is exceptionally powerful for remembering long lists, speeches, or complex information in order. Chunking information. Chunking is a memory strategy that involves breaking down large pieces of information into smaller, more manageable units, or chunks. Our short-term memory has a limited capacity, typically holding about 7 plus or minus 2 items at a time. By grouping related items into meaningful chunks, you can effectively expand this capacity, allowing you to remember more information simultaneously. This technique makes complex data less overwhelming and easier to process, encode, and retrieve. It's a fundamental principle behind how we remember phone numbers, social security numbers, and other long sequences. To apply chunking, identify patterns or natural groupings within the information you need to remember. For example, instead of trying to memorize a 10-digit phone number as 10 individual digits, you can chunk it into 3 or 4 smaller groups, e.g., 555, 123, 4567. For text, group related sentences into paragraphs or key ideas into bullet points. The key is to create meaningful units that are easier to hold in your working memory. Practice actively looking for ways to chunk information in your studies and daily life, and you'll notice a significant improvement in your ability to handle larger amounts of data. Spaced repetition. Spaced repetition is a highly effective learning technique that involves reviewing information at increasing intervals over time. Instead of cramming, which leads to rapid forgetting, spaced repetition leverages the spacing effect, the phenomenon that learning is more effective when study sessions are spaced out. This method optimizes the timing of review sessions, ensuring you revisit material just as you're about to forget it, thereby strengthening the memory trace and moving it into long-term storage. It's a scientifically proven approach to long-term retention. To implement spaced repetition, you can use flashcards, digital apps like Anki, or simply a calendar. After initially learning a piece of information, review it again after a short period, e.g. 1 day. If you recall it, extend the next review interval, e.g. 3 days. If you forget, review it sooner and then restart the interval. The key is to gradually increase the time between reviews as your memory for the item strengthens. This active recall at optimal intervals makes learning more efficient and significantly improves long-term memory for facts, vocabulary, and complex concepts. Active recall. Active recall is a powerful study technique that involves actively retrieving information from memory, rather than passively rereading or re-listening to it. Instead of simply highlighting text or reviewing notes, you test yourself on the material. This could involve answering questions, explaining concepts in your own words, or attempting to write down everything you remember about a topic. The effort required to retrieve information strengthens the memory trace, making it more accessible in the future. It forces your brain to work harder, leading to deeper learning and better retention. To practice active recall, after reading a section of a textbook, close the book and try to summarize the main points aloud or write them down. Use flashcards to test yourself on definitions or facts. Create your own practice questions or explain concepts to an imaginary audience. The discomfort you might feel when struggling to recall is a sign that your brain is actively working and strengthening connections. Incorporating active recall into your study routine, especially in conjunction with spaced repetition, will dramatically improve your ability to remember and understand complex subjects for the long term. Mind mapping for memory. Mind mapping is a visual note-taking and organizational technique that can significantly enhance memory and understanding. It involves creating a diagram with a central concept, from which related ideas branch out radially. Each branch represents a key topic, and sub-branches extend from these, detailing specific points, keywords, or images. This non-linear approach mirrors the way the brain naturally thinks and associates information, making it easier to see connections, organize thoughts, and recall complex subjects. It transforms dense information into an easily digestible visual format. To create a mind map for memory, start with the main topic in the center of a blank page. Then, draw main branches for key subtopics using different colors or images for each. From these main branches, add smaller branches for details, facts, or examples. Use keywords and images instead of long sentences. The visual structure of a mind map helps to encode information spatially and semantically, making it easier to retrieve. It's an excellent tool for brainstorming, summarizing and reviewing material, as it provides a holistic overview of a subject and strengthens memory through visual and associative links. Memory for names and faces. Remembering names and faces is a common challenge, yet it's crucial for building strong personal and professional relationships. The difficulty often arises because names are abstract, while faces are complex visual patterns. To improve, you need to consciously link the abstract name to the distinct features of the face. This requires focused attention during the initial introduction and the application of specific mnemonic techniques to create a memorable association. Overcoming this challenge significantly enhances social interactions and leaves a lasting positive impression. One effective technique is to use association and visualization. When introduced to someone, pay close attention to their name and a prominent facial feature. For example, if you meet Mr. Baker and he has a prominent nose, You might imagine a baker's hat sitting on his nose, or a loaf of bread balanced there. Repeat the name aloud during the conversation. Another method is to break down the name into smaller, more manageable sounds or words, and associate each part with a feature. Regularly practicing these techniques and reviewing names and faces will build your confidence and ability to recall them effortlessly. Memory for numbers and dates. Remembering numbers and dates can be particularly challenging because they are abstract and lack inherent meaning. Unlike images or stories, long sequences of digits don't naturally stick in our minds. This is where mnemonic techniques become invaluable, transforming these abstract numbers into concrete, memorable forms. Whether it's historical dates, phone numbers, or important statistics, applying a systematic approach can significantly improve your ability to recall them accurately. The key is to convert numbers into something visual or auditory that your brain can easily process. The major system, as previously discussed, is one of the most powerful tools for numbers, converting digits into consonant sounds to form words that can then be visualized. For dates, you can combine the major system with the story method or the method of loci. For example, to remember a historical date like 1492, you might convert 14 to TR, for example, tire, and 92 to PN, for example, pan. Then imagine a tire rolling into a pan on a specific historical landmark in your memory palace. Practice these conversions and create vivid, interactive images to make numbers and dates stick. Consistent application will build your confidence and accuracy in numerical recall. Memory for facts and concepts. Remembering facts and complex concepts is central to academic success and professional development. Unlike lists or numbers, concepts often involve understanding relationships, hierarchies, and abstract ideas. Rote memorization is often ineffective for deep learning and long-term retention of such information. Instead, effective memory for facts and concepts relies on active engagement, understanding the why behind the information, and connecting new knowledge to existing frameworks. This approach builds a robust and interconnected knowledge base. Techniques like mind mapping are excellent for organizing complex concepts visually, showing relationships and hierarchies. Elaboration, which involves explaining new facts in your own words and connecting them to what you already know, creates stronger memory traces. The story method can be used to link a series of related facts into a narrative. For abstract concepts, try to find concrete analogies or metaphors that make them more tangible. Active recall and spaced repetition are also crucial for solidifying understanding and ensuring long-term retention. By combining these strategies, you can transform daunting subjects into manageable and memorable knowledge. Lifestyle for better memory. Beyond specific mnemonic techniques, a healthy lifestyle forms the bedrock of optimal memory function. Adequate sleep is paramount, as it's during deep sleep that the brain consolidates memories, transferring them from short-term to long-term storage. Chronic sleep deprivation can severely impair learning and recall. Regular physical exercise enhances blood flow to the brain, promoting neurogenesis, the growth of new brain cells, and improving cognitive functions, including memory, attention, and processing speed. These foundational habits create the ideal physiological conditions for a sharp mind. Nutrition also plays a critical role in brain health. A balanced diet rich in omega-3 fatty acids, antioxidants, vitamins, and minerals supports cognitive function and protects against cognitive decline. Foods like fatty fish, berries, leafy greens, and nuts are particularly beneficial. Managing stress through techniques like mindfulness, meditation, or hobbies can prevent the negative impact of cortisol on memory. Finally, continuous mental stimulation through learning new skills, reading, or engaging in challenging activities keeps the brain active and resilient. Integrating these lifestyle elements is essential for sustaining a powerful and healthy memory throughout life. Applying memory techniques. The true power of memory training lies in the consistent application of techniques to real-world scenarios. It's not enough to simply understand the methods. You must actively integrate them into your daily learning, work, and personal life. Start by choosing 1 or 2 techniques that resonate with you and apply them to specific challenges, such as remembering a new colleague's name, a shopping list, or key points from a presentation. Regular practice is the most critical factor for developing proficiency and making these techniques second nature. Consistency transforms effort into effortless recall. Begin with small, manageable tasks and gradually increase the complexity as you gain confidence. For example, use the link method for a short grocery list, then progress to the memory palace for a presentation outline. Experiment with different techniques to find what works best for various types of information. Don't be discouraged by initial struggles. Memory improvement is a skill that develops over time with dedication. By consciously applying these strategies, you will not only enhance your memory, but also cultivate a more disciplined and effective approach to learning and information management in all aspects of your life.